Ladies and Germans, how are you all doing? This is Ower coming to you with some more Company of Heroes 2 Action 1v1. Today we know this map well is going to be Chladni Ferma, not in the winter thankfully, no white blanket covering the ground. And between these two players, death will be dealt, we'll see territories taken, and troops going out to pasture, shall we say. Spawning the western side, coming over here with his UKF, and of course is the forces of RT and Hector, opening himself up with the Vickers. I'm probably going to see the very standard hunkering down in this garrison going on from there. Speaking of commanders, he's going to be bringing to the fray Advanced Emplacement Regiment, Tax Support Regiment, and Royal Engineer Regiment. So very much looking for those kind of call-in materials later on. His opponent, of course, already putting up his infantry company, playing the Wehrmacht. It's going to be the forces of HighFive. And HighFive is bringing to the field a German mechanized doctrine. We don't get to see too much of this one. I kind of like it. It's, if you see the LEFH, would be fantastic. But this early mechanized grenadier group can be very, very strong. Of course, it does involve a fair investment of fuel. So let's see what HighFive is planning under the circumstances. HighFive will first connect his fuel way before RT and Hector. Hector's not going to be able to even connect the strategic point up to his fuel. But it seems that he's not making a big concern out of it. Indeed, it does look like he's taking a nice little defensive position on this house in the middle part of the battlefield. And not too surprising. Getting a slightly wonky map orientation. Let's see if we can straighten this up a little bit more. Doesn't seem still 100% right, but for some reason it looks weird to me. HighFive, in the meantime, opening up with a very varied group. Machine gun into grenadier into mortar. So looking, of course, at this kind of shell, this machine gun, and shift it back so that way the Germans can advance in their own particular dominant fashion. Hector, for the meantime, is going to be calling in 3 squads of Tommies, not unsurprising there. I am a little surprised, though, that he hasn't immediately tried to tech up to his platoon command post. Germans, in the meantime, are taking a severe resource lead, and there's the platoon command post coming in now. A little slower than the fastest Brits that we've seen, but then again, it is still very, very early. Mortar is setting up, and he's dropping rounds. Is that over? Yep, he's looking to take out that machine gun, shifted away, so he's going to be able to do that pretty darn quickly. Though on the northern side of the map, he will not be able to contest this munitions point, nor will he be able to effectively push up to this VP in the north. In the south, however, the Germans have things pretty well locked down. This area back here very rarely penetrated, although it is possible to do so with the help of a little bit of Royal Engineers to destroy the obstructions. But a 1-to-1 cap the entire way across. Middle VP is not going to go to anybody. As of right now, it's a staring contest, which that stair seems to have broken. Vicker is now outside the garrison. Grenadiers might be thinking about making a short rush to go pick it up, but that would not be the best option. In the north, we're finally seeing an actual engagement occurring. Grenadiers just taking a couple of rounds from the Tommies before falling back. And interestingly, neither side has decided to put wire up around this tank, which is kind of nice for a change. And the Grenadiers, who had so swiftly been pushed forward to take this middle VP, are sent packing. A second MG42 coming out for HighFive as Hector calls in his first squad of Royal Engineers, and I believe this Vickers is going for the church. Yes, they are, and once they do, they can bring this mortar under fire. And that's going to hurt a great deal, my friends. A great deal indeed. But he is able to finally take out a model from the retreating Tommy section. It's a soft retreat, mind you.
Our opponents are seizing a sector.
And I am not seeing a tech up. There's finally that tech up into battle phase 1 from the Germans. But with this machine gun right here, a great big swath of territory is now completely and totally impassable for the Germans. See this machine gun open up on the Grenadiers in a second here, and the Grenadiers will slowly get the worst part of that particular engagement. You see there's only one window out the front, which severely limits the amount of firepower that can come against the Brits. But it looks like the Pioneers might be building a bunker. Is that what's going on right back here? No. Instead, the Pioneers are actually down here constructing themselves a fuel cache. So actually, a fairly good decision right there. Stock up on the fuel because mechanized assault. Excuse me. German mechanized doctrine is what I meant to say. is a little bit more fuel intensive than other doctrines. Of course, late game call-in is not as expensive as a Tiga tank, but at the same time, command tank, as well as the potential to use the mechanized grenadier groups, can cause a minor issue, expanding the, let's call it, the workforce in the mid-game. A English mortar pit's going up, though, right behind this garrison, and with a squad posted on top of this garrison, or even moving this Vickers right back in, will make it an extremely hard position to break from HighFive's point of view. And I don't know, I don't think they're going to have, they're not going to have line of sight or they have the ability, I think, to hit back here, but this garrison is going to be completely and totally worthless to the Germans. As soon as they get in, they'll be just bombarded back into the Stone Age. HighFive, though, playing a little bit defensively. He's got a machine gun in this first house coming out from his base sector. And I do not know if he really has a method to his madness, or if his madness is his method. A couple of mines going down the middle part of the field. Hector kind of just setting up a nice little defensive position, hunkering down. And in the north, Grenadiers are going to try to pick on these Tommies. A rifle grenade goes out, but is very deftly dodged by the Brits. And interesting, Hector is not going to go for an AEC. Instead, he's going for a Bofors. I can't tell you how many times that happens, because it barely ever happens, it seems. But in the middle part of the field, we are going to see the first attempt by the Grenadiers to break this standoff, and it's not going to work very well. Now, 2 mines on the roads already. Now, will we see a Bofors back up in this area? Maybe down on the road to the south? I don't know. But it does seem that Hector is just looking to spam out some mines here. He's got another set of mines going down right in the middle part of this pathway coming through. And the Germans don't technically know that they're there, so that could be quite an issue for them should they try to push out through that particular pathway. HighFive in the meantime, though, has put on his light mechanized company. It's building in a bunker to hopefully turn into a medic bunker later on. And this mortar team throwing rounds back in this general area? No, he's looking to the north, trying to pick off what he assumed was still the machine gun position. Now, Pioneers in the meantime are going to come under mortar fire, and that will encourage them, let's say, to back away. I am surprised to note that Hector is not going up to his company command post just yet. He has more than enough fuel and should be able to call that in very, very quickly. Not sure why he's not doing it at the time. We're finally going to see the Germans able to at least suppress part of this infantry section up here to the north. 2 squads of Grenadiers pushing in to try to do their dirty work, cutting down that squad to about 50% strength. Even as the Pioneers move down to the south, they're going to get close enough to use the flamethrower. They are, but they're suppressed like mad. And they are very, very quickly encouraged to back away, between the mortar fire as well as the machine gun fire. But now it looks like this mortar can just start shelling this area consistently whenever he has the ability to do so, and I imagine that should encourage the Brits to fall back. But a Bofors is going up, and with this not often seen suppressive barrage, we could see it dropping rounds on this mortar here or this garrison to the back. Now, unfortunately for the Germans at the moment, rather perhaps the UKF may be more appropriate, is the Bofors, to use that suppressive barrage, is not able to do so particularly quickly.
A peg gun is ready for orders.
Trying to figure out where he's firing here. I don't rightly know. The Grenadiers are putting pressure down on top of these Royal Engineers. The Royal Engineers are going to get outshot and decide eventually to back away. It's a wise decision there. And we might see, and it wouldn't be an intelligent decision necessarily, but we might see a mechanized assault doctrine. I keep calling it that, but mechanized doctrine pushing forward, maybe throwing a mechanized armor group, Grenadier group, around to the south, up and behind this mortar emplacement right here. Unfortunately, while that does bring in the LMGs on the Grenadiers, it doesn't bring in any kind of Shrek squads that could more effectively destroy either of these emplacements, and the Bofors by itself would tear that soft-skinned half-track to pieces. But considering the fact that 10 minutes has gone by in this game and the Brits are up 80 tickets, it doesn't seem to be a massive concern for Hector just yet, and why should it be? He has finally just finished his company command post, and both players seem to be a little bit recessive with their gameplay thus far. With the Brits sitting in defensive positions and garrisons all over the map. With that Bofors, it's rather an immobile position, obviously. And some more mines are going down like crazy, so Hector could really be playing the long game, looking to kind of take an area, defend it, and play some traps, and then back up again, kind of thing. But for the time being, we don't know for sure. More mortar rounds are coming in. Going for the Bofors this time? I don't know if that's the greatest option, but more mines are going down. Geez, there are mines all over this map. And this mortar team's going to get cut to pieces, though. He's not going to be able to get out in time. And this pack right here is not going to do much either. So HighFive, I'm wondering if he's a little bit lost. Okay, there we go. So we have a machine gun backing up the mortar team. Although this Vickers could, let's say, encourage its MG42 to back up as well. It does a little bit more damage and burst fire. Grenadiers moving up to the north. Where is that mine, though? There's a mine over here to the west. There's another one over in this area, but I did not see... Oh, there it is. Just inside that shade. Interesting decision. So, there we go. 2 models going down. That's going to be kind of brutal right there. It was well played going out, although I could not say for 100% sure why that was the case. I would not say well played at the moment. Hector just seems to be owning this game like crazy. Machine guns in the garrison, okay, no, just grenadiers at this point, and machine gun outside, pinning this particular infantry section, and that could allow the Germans a slight respite. But HighFive does not seem like he's got things well under control. He seems a little like he's got things a little bit less.
Units are now ready to use anvil defensive drills and tactics.
I don't even know what to tell you. I couldn't tell you exactly what they look less able to do. But now with the anvil called in, that means we could be seeing a comet within the next 3 or 4 minutes. Mind you, that would be a bit of time off before it happens. But a comet at this point, while the Germans aren't even up to the next tech level, though we finally are seeing that support armor corps going out, it's going to be done very, very soon. He's not going to have a whole lot of resources to supply his particular army, as he's cut off already, and now both of his major resource points are being removed. There is one hope down here, and that's the fact that this machine gun that's still hunkered down and ready to defend this VP, and by doing so, limit the amount of tickets lost. So we did see a pyrotechnic display thrown out, some coordinated fire happening. I'm not sure if he's trying to find this mortar team or what he's doing, but it's not the greatest aim right now from those 25-pounders. Of course, if the 25-pounder does hit something, it's going to destroy it in short order. Finally, the machine gun, though, is going to be forced out of this church. Not that does a whole lot of good for the Germans either. And the supply disparity just gets greater and greater. Now, in terms of army supply, it's going to go slightly in Hector's favor as this anti-tank gun comes out. And with the Strode coming onto the field, though it might slide briefly back into HighFive's favor, the long term will be a much less positive picture for the Germans, despite having the armored vehicle. Now, I am pleased to see that the UKF is not completely and totally investing purely in emplacements, not because I don't enjoy seeing a 17-pounder, because that thing can be a beast, but rather because the utility of emplacements is minimal when you consider all of the extra mobility that armored vehicles will bring. Now, Royal Engineers have got themselves upgraded. Heavy Engineers are kind of ridiculous. Wait a second, Anvil. He went Anvil. He didn't go, oh my gosh. That is curious indeed. So Anvil. So we actually could see... No. No, we couldn't. Could we? Really? No. You know, we barely ever see it, but we could see a Churchill infantry tank, which is totally surprising. But you can hardly argue with the Vickers LMG. All the goodness of that machine gun and way more portability You just see already the amount of damage it dishes out. However, in the distance fight, it's not going to go too well
Enemy causing trouble, trying to take one of our points.
for the still comparatively light engineer squads. Let's take a quick look at veterancy. So, Germans are doing okay for veterancy. Shockingly enough, Brits don't have a lot of investment into veterancy. Really just the 5 stars, excuse me, because this mortar emplacement has managed to scare up a little bit of veterancy on its own. But as Hector decides to go in over here for Royal Engineer Regiment, we could see the AVRE. Now, I imagine people out there are going to complain about the AVRE as the Allied Sturmtiger, and they'd sort of be right. But every now and again, it's kind of fun to see the Death Star vehicles actually being utilized. But in the north, we are going to see, even more dangerously perhaps, about 80% of the British infantry sliding up here to either push back these Germans right here or to take this emplacement away from this Grenadier squad. It looks like they'll be able to do that fairly easily. With all this extra firepower going down on them, geez. 4 squads are in the negative cover. And the sheer weight of fire doesn't matter. This P-Grunt squad rushes out to try to cover the retreat of those Grenadiers, and 16 soldiers open up on them, taking down 75% of the squad in about 3 seconds, 4 seconds. Bofors in the meantime trying to put fire down wherever he can, but not getting a lot of utility out of it. Like I said, too immobile. We're also going to see a universal carrier called in by Hector. That's going to be getting that whole designated command vehicle. So once again, air support whenever he's looking for it, once he has the 75 munis, naturally. And we have seen this mortar has been taken out by the British mortar emplacement, and while he's lost the pyrotechnic squad infantry section, he's gained the German mortar instead. And that is a minor victory, not a huge one, but a minor one. There's the command vehicle, so of course the command vehicle coming up, what do we have? We have the free air support. Well, it's just recon patrol, naturally, but still free, which is kind of nice. But let's think about what HighFive can do to get back into this game. As far as army comps are concerned, Hector has a slight advantage here. And this Bofors, I'm surprised, is not trying to put... Oh, no, of course not. It's not an enemy vehicle. What can HighFive do to get back in this, though? Push into a higher tech level, perhaps? The support armor core does give him access to that P4 medium. So it might be a good idea there. Now, however, if he does so, what could we see from the British side of things? Well, they're already building one of those Churchill infantry tanks, which you almost never, ever see. Because something as light as a Stug, it's a viable opportunity here. Somewhat embarrassingly, the 6-pounder is taking hits like crazy. And while the Bofors has decided to go and brace, the Stug has no such ability and falls back with about 60% of its HP taken from it. Now, down in the south, we are going to see infantry sections coming up to take this munitions point. We're also going to see another squad trying to come in against MG42, but they're going to get suppressed and pinned in fairly short order. I imagine it will be 1 or 2 more bursts before they're completely and totally pinned. There we go. And since they're pinned, nothing can really be done against that particular machine gun, other than to spot vaguely for this mortar.
Infantry tank, ready to go.
But, like I said, guys, here's the infantry tank, and let's take a quick look at the abilities. So support smoke, which allows the infantry to move forward, which is kind of nice. And the crew self-defense to get rid of any kind of close-in infantry attacks. But so often it does feel like the infantry tanks, or tanks writ large, will rush into the middle of infantry squads and then throw that down, trying to do as much damage as possible. Kind of hard to argue with them on doing that. Germans have yet to recrew their second mortar, which seems like a teeny bit of a mistake. In the north, this machine gun might get taken out.
Engineer section is waiting for orders.
No, not quite able to. And a second Stug is being called in by HighFive, and he is in control of the field, at least 2-1. In terms of resources, he's still, I would argue, behind, although currently they are bang on even. The way that the map was shifting before does not doesn't fill me with a ton of confidence. Let's put it that way. Now, these noble Pegrins, the squad before, they got butchered as they tried to cover the retreat of Grenadiers. And they continue to push forward now, trying hard to push back this captured mortar. They're lucky that this Beaufort is not able to quite to see them. However, the mortar team, the mortar emplacement rather, is doing just fine on its own. And the Beaufort claims its second and third victims, able to take out that Pigren squad, at the same time taking out the MG42 in the north by way of this Churchill tank. And the Churchill's doing what any good tanker does. He's finding the support weapons are going to blow him to pieces any second. And somehow he's not able quite to hit it. Embarrassing. 432 to 337. HighFive is not giving up just yet. Moving forward with it, one Stug at least, to push back that Churchill. But that Churchill is super, super thick-skinned. And it's got a 75mm cannon on it that's not going to be easy to penetrate. You see what goes on already. 3 or 4 rounds go out, and the Churchill is able to kind of just laugh it all off, while the Stug is forced to back away or perish. But the charging Grenadiers seem more than content just to kind of push forward and throw Fausts at the retreating tank. Now, unfortunately for the Germans, that tank is as speedy enough, he can just back away faster than the infantry can charge forwards. So I'm not 100% sure why he's trying to be so aggressive just with infantry-based AT and disposable stuff at that. We will see that there's a command tank coming in to support those Stugs. And it looks like he's coming up to the north right now. No, he's sliding around to the south, trying to give a little bit of cover to this retreating AT gun. And with a short barrel, it's very, very limited usage for him in pitched armored combat. But I still would not leave it so far away from your armored vehicles. Oh my gosh, and here we go. So there's machine guns from the Germans carving into and suppressing and pinning a great deal of British infantry. But by the same token, these pioneers are getting carved to pieces. Question is, will Hector see it quick enough to back away? Yes, there he goes. He's retreating with some of it. And his Churchill is damaged, but not before encouraging the Stugs to pull back as well. Nevertheless, a minor victory for the Germans, able to hold on to that northern VP, while the Brits are forced to lick their wounds back in their home sector. One thing that has not changed is that this middle territory has not stopped being property of the king, which is not so much shocking, but mildly amusing to me. Now, why is that amusing, though? It's amusing to me mostly because... Ooh, looks like the Germans lost a squad of their Grenadiers. Mostly because usually this is the one right here. You just see all the concentration of firepower, of armored vehicles, and frankly, considering what the Germans have here, they could leap on in. Mortar rounds, not going to do much. They could push forward with their Stugs and the pack to take out this Beauforts, to push back and destroy this mortar emplacement, heck, even to take out this universal carrier pretty quickly. But he seems content just to let sleeping dogs lie and to allow the Brit to continue investing resources in the center part of the field as opposed to really pushing further to the north or into the deep south of the map. Now, another thing I'm surprised at, too, is to see that this machine gun down here has been able to hold for such a very, very long time, despite the fact that the Brits do have this captured mortar. If I were them, I'd be sliding down, trying to fix the position and dropping rounds on top of it, but it appears that Hector is a little bit more tentative than I. Another Royal Engineer push up to the north. Excuse me, Heavy Engineer push up to the north. Being supported by an awful lot. And this machine gun is going to find itself devastated pretty quickly. A lot of HP falling. And this is all the British infantry charging up to the north that they are able to pick up and very, very easily hold, I would say, this northern VP. And also worth noting, I believe that Hector is, excuse me, HighFive is missing a massive opportunity here to push either in the south or the middle part of the field to take some of the resources away from his British opponent. And there goes another squad for HighFive. But HighFive is finally putting in an LEFH. And I'm wondering if he's just going to start shelling the middle part of the map, because if that's the case, he should have done that a long time ago. But you know what, he's not giving up yet, and that's something you still have to respect. But neither player really kind of impressing me with their kind of macro play. Both Strogs are still unupgraded, despite having the munitions to do so. Oh no, never mind, spotting scopes on one of them. Not on the other one, though. It'd be nice to see the Pintle MG42 on both. It's super cheap, and frankly, considering how much the spotting scope would cost him in total, I'm wondering why HighFive is floating such a high amount of fuel. There are more mortar rounds coming in again, but you know what? Those things aren't going to do much to the much heavier Sturmgeschütz and command tank.
Our opponents are seizing a sector.
Well, wonderful. The LEFH is completely made, and I'm wondering why it's not immediately firing. I'm guessing HighFive is busy microing another area. But it would be nice to see him laying down a barrage fairly soon. Meanwhile, the North Royal Engineers threatening to put down some more mines. They decide against it as the command tank kind of stumbles on forwards here. And here we go. So, yep, here comes the first barrage, my friends. And he's looking for that Bofors, so let's see. Smoke rounds coming in. Interesting decision. To move forward with the Pioneer Squad and to retake this position here. LEFH are unfortunately at the moment not able to really do a ton of damage, both through the brace as well as the inherent inaccuracy of the howitzer. We're also seeing as well that Strokes are coming on in to throw some rounds down range, but again, with the brace, it's not going to do a whole lot. Now, Bofors has allowed itself to come off of that brace. He is going to get repaired right now by some Royal Engineers, I believe. Not quite. No, he's going to get forced back instead. The Churchill kind of dives on forwards to encourage all three of the German vehicles to pull back. Although the Pak-40 is there to stop that charge from the Churchill. Wait a second, now I'm thinking about it. He went for Anvil. So... Okay. Never mind. I was thinking for a second he'd be able to still go for that full 17-pounder, but that doesn't make any sense, obviously. Well, what we got going on over here. So, Brits are hiding around over here with Brens as well as those Vickers LMGs. The Germans are not going to be able to stand up to them in a straight gun battle. Only really by weight of fire as well as support from these tanks will the Germans really be able to stand up in any sort of infantry battle. But down the south, we're going to see a tank and spank as the machine gun finds itself finally outgunned and outflanked. Engineers are doing their thing. Ooh, an entire squad gets squashed by the P4. I hate when that happens again. I think tank crush sometimes is a little bit too powerful. But it is still something. Take a look at all those guys. So the last guy right here, unfortunately, getting gunned down, but 4 of them getting run over, and that's just ridiculous in my mind. But we are going to see an AVRE coming on in with that petard mortar. So I imagine we'll see this particular MG vanish soon enough. Spigot mortar. Any moment. Come on. Not gonna shoot it right now. I'd be firing right away. Interesting. Nope, he's not going to waste a round on that. Okay. Maybe just as good for him to throw the round at these armored vehicles. Not because it's really made to combat them, but because it does enough incidental damage, even if it misses slightly. That should allow the Churchill to get a good solid kill pretty easily. Hasn't really found a target just yet, and a 6-pounder backing up both of these armored vehicles. The Germans realizing it's probably better for us to, you know, back away slowly.
The enemy is taking our territory.
Churchill takes a couple of rounds from the rear. And where's that Pack? Pack is still up, but he's not close. No, he's made back in the base sector. Spigot Mortar still's not firing. And the LEFH, I'm surprised. Is he firing yet again? Yes, he is. Might dare say he's probably looking right back over here for the mortar pit. No. No, he's shelling back at base. I'm guessing that's the whole WoW that came up before. Tommy sections were dropping, and part of it was that one of them got completely and totally run over. But it's also entirely possible, however unlikely, that, no, it didn't, never mind. I was going to say that maybe a round came in back at base and killed a couple of models. But no. That would be impossible considering the lack of kill tallies on said howitzer. Now the AVRE is still kind of just patrolling around the map, and with the Brits having a trip cap, there's absolutely no reason for him to charge forward needlessly, even if Hector lost him, he could just pull another one right back on immediately. Oh no. Oh no. Here it comes. Mortar round coming on in, and say goodnight to the howitzer. There we go. It hasn't destroyed it, but decrewing it is still a good place to start. It encourages HighFive to invest into manpower as opposed to doing something a little bit more effective with this time. Which is to say, maybe pushing forwards, maybe, again, pushing the sides like he was doing before. And you see right now these Grenadiers up into the north. Yeah, these like little 1- and 2-man squads moving forward. And really doing exactly what he needs to do. Unfortunately, he's not really translating that into action that lasts throughout the match. Those other rounds coming in right back at base again. It's kind of foolish. I mean, taking out the company command post would be nice and all that, but it's still kind of foolish in my mind. And are we reloading just yet? No. No, apparently he's all set to go already. So 3 kills that first time around. Wondering, again, are we really like to see the effect of a 290mm round on top of one of these Stugs?
The squad of pioneers has arrived.
Now, unless I missed my guess, I'm pretty sure that the effect of that shell would be rather devastating. And I don't think I missed my guess, though. Brits coming up to the north, and it looks like we're going to have a mine coming across up here for Hector. If these armored vehicles were at all interested, it seemed, in actually engaging the enemy. But while they see a lot of indirect fire happening back and forth, Hector's troops seem to be just as relaxed as HighFive's are, except that Hector is up another 6 supply and over almost 200 tickets at this point. Middle part of the field in the meantime, mortar coming forward to throw rounds downrange. Is he trying to find this particular spot right here? Yes, he is. He's doing a little bit of damage as well. As in turn, the LEFH artillery piece is trying to target... trying to target that deep Bofors in the middle part of the field. We did just see in the meantime, of course, the defending MG down here going down, and Hector has absolutely no reason to pick it up. I'm really hoping he doesn't. But this Pack 40 is probably going to get devastated as well by the push from these Brits. Finally, we're seeing some telemines coming down from the Germans, but it seems like too little too late. As HighFive is not moving around the map with any sort of alacrity. Though he is finally realizing how much he needs more. It needs more mines. So 1, 2, 3 sets of mines So I imagine this last set, the last set gets cancelled, as he doesn't want his troops laying mines under fire. AVRE is not throwing mines down range just yet, but it'd be kind of nice to see him fire a mortar right there, and thereby keep his troops a little healthier. Considering they're going to run across one mine right now. There he goes, he runs away, and a mortar shot in return? No mortar shot. With 389 to 159, again, like I keep saying, Hector is up an insane amount. You can see it by how much manpower he's got, how much fuel he's got. He'd be calling in upgrades all day, every day if he wanted to, but he doesn't seem to be too keen on that just yet. And here's a strange decision. So there's going to be a Nebelwerfer coming in for HighFive. That's right, it's going to be one of those rocket lofting machines. And while it would be good if there was a lot more massed infantry, or even if the Nebelwerfer was any good in the first place, I don't know what it's going to accomplish, other than to pick away at these two emplacements. One of which is braced completely, the other which is 3 stars behind a garrison and can be braced whenever he wants it to. But hey, that's just me. Here's a question. So, command tank coming forward. We're going to see the 6-pounder trying to set up on it. Churchill not really moving too quickly in its own speed. But there we go. A solid hit coming in rear armor. And finally, we're going to see a command tank going down. It's overextending quite a bit and now moving in strokes to back up his vehicle. But 37 minutes in, despite losing his command tank, the Germans seem quite invigorated. I have a 2-to-1 cap right now, but I imagine this stroke is not going to be long for this world. Churchill's charging on forwards and a 6-pounder throwing rounds into the retreating assault gun. And I dare say one more round will be enough to seal the deal for him. There he goes, out of control. Smoke rounds coming in from the Germans, but unfortunately, way too late. And this Panzerwerfer, I keep calling it Nebelwerfer, but it's Panzerwerfer, has not really gotten himself into a fighting position to do a whole lot. Is he coming forward to throw rounds any place, or is he just going to continue to back up? Okay, well, these heavy engineers coming on forwards with a Vickers and a Bren gun on top of it. So those guys are quite powerful with how much fire they can sling down range. Oh my gosh, the AVRE comes in again. Another round comes up, and kathunk. And skadoosh, there goes the howitzer. Completely and totally a wreck. HighFive can't do anything about it. He can call another command tank. But I think maybe a better idea if he decides to utilize that heavy Panzer Corps to call it a much more effective tank. So a Panther, perhaps? Like a P5, a nice, awesome Panther. Hector's troops in the meantime, it hasn't been, like I said, the highest skill cap play on this particular one. But it looks like Hector's just going to kind of bite and hold his way out of this. Trench going down up in the north. This middle section continuing to be a massive fortification with just 3 or 4 units. Including, but not limited to, this mortar team down here that was captured from the Germans, a command vehicle on top of the Universal Carrier. This Bofors that hasn't really done a whole heck of a lot. And this 3-inch mortar pit, which has, it's fairly standard. I'm surprised the Germans have not been able to deal with it. I'm trying to think about what could have been a better option in terms of HighFive's commander choice, but it might have been just to say that mechanized doctrine is not going to be the way to come through this. 40 minutes in, 368 to 129, 128. There we go. We're going to see ourselves finally having a Panther come onto the field. Here it comes. He's aiming for that Panzerwerfer. And just by dint of firing near it, takes it out. That's how powerful that mortar can be. In the south, we'll see Royal Engineers are charging on forwards yet again after this pack. And throwing some rounds into the rear of a Stug, and it's not going to do a whole lot. However, that mine, which has been there since almost the beginning of this particular match, will do a fair bit. And while this Churchill is taking rear armor shots from the Stug, he's able to back up almost as fast as the Stug can retreat, even with a damaged engine. Would have been a little bit better if this Churchill tank faced his armor. But it seems he's so cocky about this, he's just going to go up, throw rounds into this particular vehicle, even as he backs away, and kind of laugh at him. Churchill taking fire from that Panther, and indeed should go down without too much more fanfare. Throwing out the whole smoke projecting things. To kind of ruin some of the aim from the Panther.
Enemy is taking our territory.
And HighFive has just been dropping squads all day, every day. I don't think he can actually even come back from this one. He's got 4 squads left. Not to say that Hector's got too much more, but Hector, using a substandard commander, has been able to kind of beat up on HighFive with a lot of random mine placement that has just not been utilized most of the game. Maybe there's a mine there, there's a mine there, there's a mine there, which is still there. And there's a mine here as well, which finally paid dividends at the end of this match. Okay, so he's not throwing a round into the Panther, which is probably a good thing. Damaged engine. Okay, so the question is, will the Panther try to go and take him out? No, he's just rushing on around him. As HighFive ticks away his last tickets, it looks like. I think this AVRE is trying to get it so he can safely have a way to throw his final round. Yes, he is. There he goes. Nope, never mind. Not coming in yet again. Thought he had the round, but I guess that's not going to happen. 6-pounder in the meantime, not able to keep the Panther under its gaze. But with the Churchill coming in fully vetted up, not too much of a problem there. Yep, there goes the Panther. HighFive should just be tapping out whenever he can.
One of our panzers has been destroyed.
Especially as a command tank coming out, and that thing is going to have absolutely nothing right there. Yep, that's the tap out from HighFive. So 42 minutes and 12 seconds in, with a final score 368 to 56. RTN Hector takes out HighFive. Though I will have to basically credit the win to HighFive not playing aggressively with his particular commander, nor, I would suggest, utilizing his resources to the utmost. Nevertheless, folks, that's going to do it for me today. Thank you so much for tuning in. This, of course, as always, is Con Ulrich. You all have a great day. Take it easy.